What's going on, guys? This is George from StreetCulture.US, and it is late Saturday afternoon. I am exhausted, but the heavy stuff is done. So let's talk about what we did here. All right, so 97 Honda Civic winter car. We removed the transmission, replaced the slave cylinder, replaced the master for the clutch, and got rid of a few bolts that needed to be, they were pretty bad. Still having a hard time trying to find one that fits in there, but that's the nature of the game. Let me turn these up. There we go. So yeah, on the bottom end, let's go to the bottom end. We did put a new oil pan gasket in here. This is not a new oil pan. I just cleaned it up really good. I used kerosene to get all the main grime off, and then I cleaned it really nicely with some starter fluid to dry it out. Went ahead and gasket scraped everything underneath there. It's pretty clean now. So yeah, it'll give it a lot of good bite. To get all this stuff done, it's just amazing to me. Let's see here. There we go, some light. You can see underneath here. The new flywheel is in, the clutch, which you can't see, but there is a clutch fork and all that stuff. Throwout bearing and everything is all brand new. These are sitting now. It'll have to sit till Sunday because, sorry, I'm getting a little sick, guys. It's 14 degrees outside, and even in the garage here, it's about 45, 50. So I'm kind of a little chilly, but sorry. So you have to let these bolts sit. So what you do is you put your gasket in there and your gasket RTV. I use the black because it's oil resistant from Permatex. Now, you go ahead and you just hand tighten these guys. Hand tighten them. You can even use your ratchet a little bit here and just kind of tighten it just snug a little bit, nothing hard, because you have to let this sit for 24 hours. Once it sits for 24 hours, you go ahead and you torque this down to spec, and everything will be copacetic. They want you to wait 24 hours also for the gasket to cure, so that way when you add the oil and the fluids, these type of gaskets really don't cure fully until 24 hours. So it's best to let them cure and then put the oils and the fluids in, depending on what you're working on. Let the Permatex gaskets sit for 24 hours. Let them bond to the metal. Now, I did a really good job up here underneath the engine, making sure that I got most of the grimy, oily, scaly road grime mix off of the bottom of the engine, so that way everything was nice and dry, and we didn't have any oil interfering with the bonding. So yeah, went ahead and hand tightened everything, copacetic. Have to put in the axles, reattach the exhaust, cleaned up these bolts up under here. We have new seals. Those will get a little dab of grease, and then we'll put those CV axles in there. But all in all, it came out pretty good. So yeah, what's left? Well, I'm going to clean up this brace a little bit more. This is an aluminum brace. The flywheel cover is already cleaned, so that doesn't really require anything. That is the front, I guess you could say, motor mount / transmission mount. So when the engine flexes, it kind of grasps onto the frame, the subframe. I'm going to go ahead and clean that one up. I'll probably just clean it up really good, spray it down, and then I'll go ahead and put a nice coat of lacquer paint on it. That way it's all good to go. One of the things I didn't get to do was, this is the outer boot for the clutch fork, and I did order a new one. It hasn't gotten here yet, so I'm going to put that one back on. It's really easy to replace after the new one comes in, because you can just undo the slave cylinder and then put that on. Anyway, so I'm going to clean those up. Then I have to bolt the exhaust back together, slide those axles in. Honestly, I'll probably slide the axles in first, because that way I don't have to worry about banging on the exhaust and get those axles in, and then it should be good to go. So all in all, it took me just a couple days. I started this project on Thursday night after work, and then I worked into it Friday after work. Today, just been busting my butt a little bit here, getting that oil pan set up and ready to rock and roll. So all I really have left, after this is all bolted up and put back together, is I want to replace this air filter. It's due. It's been on there for about a year, and you can see it's pretty grimy since the spring. So it's time to go. So yeah, once that's all taken care of, I'll put this back on. The wheels are actually in the far side of the third car garage over there. Clean up all this mess, and yeah, it should be good to go by late Sunday afternoon. Remember, 24 hours to let it cure. So let's talk about parts. And all the parts that I listed in the previous video are just the heavy hitters, your clutch, your flywheel, etc., etc. Let's look at, I have the tally here. So let's go back out here. And the tally is like so. We have flywheel from O'Reilly's, $98 after they gave me a quick discount. Guys, I get a pretty good discount there. I've been doing O'Reilly's, work with O'Reilly's for 10 years. So anyway, I have a pretty cool commercial account and I get a bit of a discount. So normally it's like $104 or $5. So let's, oh, sorry. Like I said, I'm getting a little sick, guys. So Power Torque flywheel from O'Reilly's, $98. Clutch set from O'Reilly's, $98. Flywheel from Honda, $325. That's a difference of $225, okay? The problem is also that the Honda flywheel OEM is on back order with no telling how long it's going to take. I spoke to the guy, his name was Dylan, at Parts, and he said he didn't know how long it was going to take to get one. Same thing with the clutch set. The clutch set was $99, remember, at O'Reilly's, but it was actually $412.59 at Honda. And the difference of, $312, the clutch set, the pressure plate is $229, and then the actual friction plate is $183, and they separate them. So it doesn't even come in a complete kit. That's really ridiculous. Then also, your clutch fork. Clutch fork was $110 through Honda. I got it for $30 on Overstock. So I'm going to take the one that I bought both of them just so I could get the job done. I'm going to take the one I got back. It arrived late from Overstock. I'm going to just take it back to Honda. It's the same part, same bag, OEM, everything. The pivot ball. So you remember the pivot ball in the previous video was really, really tore up. That from Honda, $40. You can get one on eBay or Overstock for $16, but honestly, it's best just to get it straight from Honda because I found that the ones that are on eBay aren't actually 100% OEM, or some of them have come used. So ordering them for $16, I'd rather just spend the extra $24, get it for $37 or $40 and call it a day. Let's talk about the clutch master cylinder down there. That was actually $37 roughly at O'Reilly's. Get this, from Honda OEM, $245. That's a difference of $200+. Slave cylinder down there was actually around $29. Slave cylinder from Honda, $186. Seals underneath the transmission. The seals I bought from O'Reilly's were $5 on the driver's side and $8 on the passenger side. Seals from Honda, driver's side, $16.42. Passenger side, $23.67. Grand total, and oil pan gasket. Oil pan gasket from Honda, $76. Oil pan from O'Reilly's, $55. $20 difference. But let's add this up real quick. All right, here we go. With $250 in taxes, it comes down to $4,413.31. That's $4,413. I'm not even gonna count the 31 cents, okay? Parts from O'Reilly's, $750. Now, this is how much Honda was gonna charge me. I'm sorry, let me take that back. Yeah, $44,1331 with the parts. Parts were like, roughly around $1,500. The rest was all labor. It was like $2,500 in labor. So grand total for parts and labor, $44,1331. $1,500 of parts, the rest all labor. I did it for $750 and a couple hours here, a couple hours there, and a full day today. So about 2.5 days, 3 days. Saved me, the difference, savings, $3,663.31. So guys, labor is insane. If I break it down, let's just say I do it for 3 days and labor is $2,400. That's $800 a day for 3 days. And if I do it for 8 hours each day, which I didn't hear, but if I did, it would be $100 an hour. $100 an hour in my pocket. That's how much my labor costs. So do it yourself. It's $100 an hour, man, in your pocket. So $3,663 in my pocket. Didn't need to take it to Honda. $750. If you're really not sure how to do it, O'Reilly's doesn't carry Haynes and Chilton, but they can order it. But you can go to any parts store and get a Haynes or a Chilton book. I prefer Chilton because if you look at Chilton books, they have really nice diagrams, and it has markings, and it tells you all the torque measurements right there. You don't have to look them up in the back. However, they do have them in the back. So if you really just wanted a list of all your torque measurements, you could just look it up and it'll have a list of them for everything that's on the car. But if you're just doing it step by step and you're just following directions, like right here, you can see these bolts are at roughly about 8 foot-pounds of torque or 12 newton meters if you're from overseas. But we're Americans, so we use foot-pounds of torque. So yeah, get yourself one of these. These are invaluable, invaluable. I have these for every car that I own if it's available, which one or two of them it doesn't have. I actually have to find one for one of my old classics. But anyway, these are worth their weight in gold, and you don't have to take your car into a service department and not know what's going on. You can actually learn how to do this stuff yourself. It takes time, it takes tools, which those all get cleaned up, but it's well worth it to put $3,600 back in your pocket because there's no substitute for $100 an hour. I mean, really. And here's the best part. If you get good at this and you become experienced, because you're going to learn all the tricks of the trade and you're going to look at things to look out for, et cetera, you get really good at your craft. Your craftsmanship will increase, your precision will increase, and you know what kind of quality you're going to get when you put your car back together yourself, and you know about your car. And it comes to the point of where you actually hear things and you know automatically what's wrong with your car. So instead of taking it to a Honda or a Nissan or any dealership, and you get service techs. Service techs are kids that really don't know a whole lot. They know the basics. They know how to hook up like sensor readers and things like that of such. They could do oil changes and maybe some brakes. But the truth is, they are all mostly lacking in that department with attention to detail. They're not going to treat your car like it's theirs. And then the other thing is they all work under a master mechanic. I've said it before, each dealership, not all, but most, have one or two main mechanics for the shifts. And then the rest of the workers there are service techs, and they work under the licensing. So you have to know what's going on, guys, because there's been plenty of times I've taken not only a Honda in, but a Nissan or my Ford, and I just don't get the type of work or quality that I would do. So the only thing I really do when it comes to this type of stuff is oil changes. I will just take it in because if something happens and it's due to the oil, like for example, I got this one done at a aftermarket place, and it was low. Luckily, I was doing this. They didn't top it off the way it should have been. But luckily, I was doing this, so I drained the oil anyway to get the oil pan off. But guys, there's no substitute for doing it for yourself, and you save money, you sacrifice a little bit of time, but $100 an hour, it's worth its weight in gold, and you know what's going on with your car. So I hope this helped. I'm glad that I saved $3,600 and that I can apply it to other things, like maybe some carbon fiber to get rid of this terrible eBay, horrible, rusty. I've had this on here for 4 years, and Chicago salt has eaten it. Hood, it is terrible. Terrible. Look at this, guys. This was actually painted brand new, and it's all chipped up from all the rocks and everything, and it's all rusting up here. These fenders are also rusting up a little bit, but not as bad as the hood. This is trash. So I'm going to have to get some kind of, I want to go with like a carbon fiber one from Seabon. So I'll probably do that. Why on a little 300,000 mile Honda Civic that I use predominantly for driving the snow? I would say normally because race car, but Lucy's not really a race car. 320,000 miles on this car, and it's really just to drive around in the rough weather, save my other cars. She's the workhorse, but carbon fiber will not rust, and the same thing goes for the fenders here. So I'll probably look at replacing those over the winter time. But anyway, guys, I hope you like what you've seen here. This last few days has been great, fantastic. Everything couldn't have went any better than it has. So please let me know what you think about the videos down below. Smash the like and subscribe button both on Instagram and on YouTube. And dream it, build it, drive it, so that way I can see you guys on the road.